have your fear, which might become reality. And you have Godzilla, which is reality.
I'm sick of Godzilla.
Wake up!
There are two things you don't know about the Earth. One is me, and the other is Godzilla.
We're safe here. No human being can understand that. The monsters on Monster Island can understand it.
Whether he returns or not, or is never again seen by human eyes, the things he has taught us remain.
Calling Monster Island. Monster Island.
Jay, hello, Jay, my best friend, my co-host. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I really enjoyed our episode. I almost said last week, 2 weeks ago with Abby, and it's going to be hard to top that.
Yeah.
But if there's a topic that maybe can, it might be the one that we talk about today because it's out there.
I think it's the only way to follow up. That was such a good episode, and it was so fun. And there was a lot of people who reached out to me that, said that they enjoyed it because a lot of people are in that same kind of boat, not knowing anything. But this is the only way you can follow that up. It can't be serious. You got to just have fun. And I think I did it.
Yeah. And for those that have obviously read the title of the podcast, you probably have an idea that we are talking about a set of movies. So 2 movies, not just the original, but also the follow-up.
Yeah.
And these movies have one thing in common, and that is they love a particular letter of the Phoenician alphabet. And that, of course, is the letter X. And so who better to talk about movies that love the letter X than the exalted expert on exobiology, experimenting on extinguishing extraterrestrial exospores and exuberantly executing all examples of extrasolar and extragalactic exotics that excel in exerting explosions and exacting excruciating extermination of one's extremities, the Mr. Jacob Walsh.
You did it. That was magnificent. That was magnificent.
That's the hardest one yet.
There are no other X words. There are no other X words in the human language. We said them all. That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Jay.
Yes, you're welcome.
We are talking about the X from outer space and Monster X Strikes Back. What a weird. Hey, you know what? Also, I might just call him Monster X the whole time because I watched both of these movies. I don't know how to pronounce his fucking name.
Well, the first one, the dubbing, I know it's so funny. They're, because the Guilala and Guilala and Garara, and there's
it never sounds like any of those in the movie.
It never sounds the same.
There's one point, I think maybe in the second one.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe one point in the second one where it's being really silly and the kid names him and he's like, "That kind of looks like a Gila monster." And I'm like, "Oh, is it Gila? Is it Guilala?" But it never sounds like that. And I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. So they never call it Monster X, I'll tell you that.
No.
But that's what I'm calling him.
I know. And the actual Japanese title is Giant Space Monster Guilala. So it's just
Guilala. Is it Guilala? Is that it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does not look like I literally spent time yesterday I was like, let me get on YouTube and see how other people, and I'm just like, I don't know how this is being said.
Well, I mean, and this is, I'm going to tread lightly here because I don't want to be misinterpreted, but there's a lot of words that have, through translation from Japanese to English, have changed up L's and R's. Like you think of Megalon, and we got Megaron, in X Plus, right? And then one of the most famous is, and I always tie it back to Yamato Takeru. So at Yamato Takeru, the end song is by a famous Japanese band, Glay. And what they wanted it to translate to was actually gray. Because their saying was we're neither black or we don't sing in black or white, we're shades of gray. And so so it's I think there could have been some translation issues in the dubbing where you say Garara and then Guilala. But that's technically what it's supposed to be. But hey, you know what? We'll go with Monster X.
Monster, it's just easier.
Or the X from outer space, which is
the
technically
X from
a
outer
different
space. Yeah, it is.
Or giant chicken monster. I don't know.
so many things. All right. Well, we're going to get to that. But before we do, I do want to mention that, Jay, I'm looking at your shirt.
Oh, yes.
And it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Is that us?
This is a prototype, but this is us. This is the new logo from Beducci Studios. If you guys don't know who Beducci Studios is, go check it out. It does some wonderful stuff. But it's our new YHS on Monster Island logo. It is, and I'm going to use how it was described by one of the greatest artists of our generation, Tom Whalen, who described it as pure insanity. And it is pure insanity in the best way possible. It is the new YHS on Monster Island logo, which you can get in t-shirt form at the YHS Below the Collar store. So belowthecollar.com/YHS podcast. And you will see it. And it's gorgeous. And it's super cheap. And it's great material. Awesome stuff. Where you get all the other YHS merch. Go and check it out. It's awesome. Great logo. Great shirt. Check them out.
I love it. Yeah. It's been kind of like it's been in the works for a while, and like seeing all the teasers of it. It's been very exciting. I'm really happy about it.
Oh,
thank you, Beducci Studios. We also have a Twitter now.
Yay!
And I'm gonna say, like, I haven't been the greatest at updating it, but it's out there. And there are tweets on it. And if you're on Twitter, it is YHS Monster Pod. That is us. YHS on Monster Island. Go give it a follow.
Yeah.
Share it. Whatever. There's stuff on there.
There's stuff. We guarantee there will be stuff.
There's gonna be stuff on there.
Eventually there will be stuff on there.
At times, there's stuff on the Twitter.
Yes. Yeah, you teased this episode. And so maybe because of that, we're going to have people that are just like waiting, like just reloading, hitting refresh on their podcatcher. Like, when's this episode dropping?
Jay, I don't want to like jump the gun into, that yet. But when I watched the second film and that happened, I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I'm tweeting about this. But what shocked me is like, you know that I've dabbled in Ultraman. I like Ultraman. I'm not versed in all of it. So when I made that tweet, then Michael at Kaiju Ramen replied, oh, I love that episode of Ultra. I was like, hold on. I was like, this happens again?
Yeah.
And I had to go look it up. I was like, there's another instance of a missile in the butt of a kaiju?
Yeah.
What have I been missing my whole life? This.
It's funny. We'll have to have a conversation with Michael and Travis about that, because that's my least favorite episode of Ultraman.
Is it?
Not because of that, but I can't stand that kaiju. But anyway, the Gabakajiro one. But anyway, yes, I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, maybe our genre has too much missiles and bombs and rockets up kaiju butts. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think it's enough, honestly.
But hey, congrats on the new Twitter handle. It's awesome. You've actually done a really good job. In all seriousness, I've laughed more than a few times on it.
It's fun to have. I like it.
Yes,
I like that it doesn't have like either one of it. Well, I mean, it's me. I run it, but also I've never really, I don't run the regular YHS Instagram very often. I used to at times, but it's fun when it doesn't have your name attached to it, and you're like, I can just say shit. Not that I'm on there like saying crazy shit or anything, but it's fun.
In parentheses, Jay said this from Jay. Just to,
I'm gonna start tagging it your name. Like really,
people that like Godzilla are stupid. Said Jay.
Just like super hot takes. Like I don't know what they would be, but like
Yongri was a good movie. Jay.
JD Lee's for president. I don't know. Any other housekeeping things, or what you got anything?
No, nothing. No? I mean, I think I think we can get into like the regular part of the episode.
Okay. Well, do you want to do all right, so you got any pickups, or you want to do
some pickups
first? Okay.
Yeah, let's do some pickups. Let's start off strong. I have 4 pickups. And it's a very Godzilla centric, like not the franchise, actually specifically just Godzilla.
Specific, okay.
Yeah, like which is weird because I'm usually here rocking some Varans and some Eberas and some Gorosauruses. No, it's all Godzilla. I will start with one I just got today, and of all of them, this is the one that maybe I'm not gonna say anything bad about it because I like it. I just say, but the one that I maybe it might have been looking back It might have been a little bit of FOMO, impulse buy, and
Okay.
that is, and I'm not gonna put him on the base because I'll drop it, but the Mondo Hanna-Barbera Godzilla statue. Now, like a lot of people, I was pumped that there was going to be an officially licensed one of these because, like I said, there hadn't been one, and it's fine. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I was just a little, knowing the price point for this, I'm not loving necessarily the quality of the material. It feels a little cheaper than it is, and it's a little bit smaller and stuff. But it's okay overall. It's fine. It's okay. I'm not gonna get rid of it, but it's not what I took this out. I was like, oh my gosh, like statue of the year. This is going front and center, or anything like that. Right. It's more like, where can I put it and kind
find
of
a spot in the back for it?
Yeah. He doesn't need a riser. He'll just it'll be behind all the bigger ones. But but I'm glad I got it. And we'll see how long this guy lasts. But I mean, it's like I said, it's hard to sculpt on a cartoon and animated stuff. It makes it harder because there isn't a lot of detail, right? It's 2-dimensional, right? So I think they probably did okay on some of it. But like I said, just when I'm looking at it, especially a statue, because it doesn't move, I'm expecting really, really, really good work and like a higher end material and stuff. I don't get that vibe from it. But
they went really, really like literal with it, and it's just one shade of green with and then with the line marks, and it's like you can go that route, and sure, that's accurate, but or you could go like, I don't know, like the Super 7 Ultimates route, where you like kind of remake something and it looks like it, but maybe like put some color variation in it or something. Like I don't own that. I haven't seen it in person, but I think I can agree that I feel like maybe it's a little overpriced for what it is. It is cool that it exists because there is no other official merchandise of that specific Godzilla, and I like that, but I didn't buy it for the same reason. I was like, this is too much money for this.
I'll put it this way, and I know a lot of YHS listeners to us are also fans of YHS, but also fans of Toy Anxiety and the other properties, that we always talk about. And a lot of times you guys talk a lot about NECA, TMNT, the animated line, right? And those are 2-dimensional ones that they've sculpted. I'll put it like this. If you take one of the bigger, the Ultimates, right? The animated Ultimates, so it's a Chrome Dome or Krang's Android Body or whatever, and you took away all the articulation, and you put it on this base, it would actually feel like a better, more well-made, sturdier, like more expensive item than this. Like this is like a less, it feels like it's less quality than a regular articulated NECA TMNT animated piece. So like that just to me is like, those are $20 to $40. This is,
and those are about the same size too, right? Like the Ultimate, the bigger ones
are bigger.
Are they bigger? Yeah.
I mean, I literally I have a whole case of them, like 3 feet that way. I could do the comparison, but I'm pretty sure the Ultimates, especially like Chrome Dome and stuff, are bigger than this. Yeah. So it's it has to be, I don't know, 6.5, 7 inches around there.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, I mean with the base maybe 8 or 9, but But the good news is, so that was bummed, but the other 3, oh man, I'm so excited for. Like, totally. The first one is really cool. I don't have a lot of Godzilla 71. I don't have that, the smog monster, the Hito Goji sculpt. And Marasan did one recently that they released at the Hedera art exhibit that ran in Tokyo. I believe it was in August through November somewhere. It was at a Gallery X in Parco Shibuya in Tokyo. And they did all these cool, Bandai did like, you probably saw the orange kind of burning Hedera that was their exclusive to this event. Well, Marasan did an all red 1971 Hito Goji, and I absolutely adore this guy. He is awesome. Like he's sturdy. And look how much bigger he is than this guy. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And less expensive. And so this guy, I love him, and it's just all red, and it just fits with kind of, if you've seen images from this art exhibit and everything, like there's lots of like reds and oranges and like these bright, crazy kind of colors. Right. And it just kind of fits in with there and all the other exclusive merch and stuff that was there. So I absolutely love this guy. And like I said, I think they did a really good job of capturing the 71 face.
Yeah, it's got that head for sure.
Which is kind of cool. Because like I said, I don't have any other 71 stuff. So really cool there. The other two, well, first, I'm collecting the Marasan Bio Goji, the Marasan 350s. Got a new one.
Right.
So this is number 8. This is number 8. This is the green glitter. So the green glitter. Let me put him in there. And I love this guy. I mean, I love all of them. I really do. I need the green clear still as well, but I absolutely love this guy. He looks great. I mean, it is a translucent vinyl, so like when you put him in the light, you can see right through him. But heavy amount of glitter, and then I love how they did the blue dorsal spines here with the silver. I think it looks beautiful with this kind of this green here. So really cool. Love this guy, and that sculpt's one of my. I think they do the best '89 sculpt of all.
That's a beautiful
major silver push.
I'm mad that I don't have any. Like, that 89 is my favorite Godzilla, and I'm annoyed that I haven't bought one of those yet. It's on my list.
You got nothing but time.
It's on my list.
And the last one is a little bigger.
Okay.
So we had a 71, we have an 89. Well, let's go back to the 60s, back to King Goji, 1962, King Kong versus Godzilla, Marmot. Look at this guy, 14 inches, massive. Sofubi, King Goji. Dang, I mean, dude. What I love about this paint job makes me think of the animated T-Rex from Dino Riders with the green and the yellow orange on there. But which I'm actually getting the Beast of the Mesozoics one that's done in that same paint job. But anyway, so this is the awesome Marmot sculpt of Mr. King Goji, and I absolutely love it. Now this guy is huge. Now let's compare him to Hanna-Barbera. As you can see here.
Oh my God. That's not get him out of here. That sculpt, that's a great sculpt, man.
It is. Yeah. It's great. I mean, it's a lot of detail in here. You can see kind of the very Godzilla suit-esque. But I love it. I love this guy. And such an iconic face to King Goji. And I think they do a good job of it. But so very Godzilla centric. So from a statue to a art exhibit exclusive to some glitter to a giant Sofubi item. Tried to run the gambit here, but I overall very, very happy with the pickups. And I think in 2 weeks when we record again, I should have some even crazier ones and maybe one that can rival this guy on size. So right. So a little tease there.
You've been busy.
I've been busy buying stuff. So but I got to slow down, but eventually. Or sell some stuff.
That's never gonna happen. Slow down.
Yeah. I know. Here's the thing though. The difference between me and you on our collecting is you are way better at, we have a lot more stuff, but like you can like have stuff in the corner and stuff, it's piling up. And I know you're redoing a lot of it. Like I will like not sleep at night if there's anything that I own that's not displayed, with a few exceptions. I would
die of sleep deprivation if I tried to. I just can't right now.
I mean, there's a few things that like I don't love, but kind of have like sentimental value to that I won't display. But for the most part, like right now, I think I have 2 boxes from NECA Turtles over here, like 2 boxes that I just got recently that I have to put in the case. But other than that, like I'm at the point now where I'm running out of room, so it's either a redesign of the room, or some stuff has to, I don't even know. I don't even want to think about it. You're ruining my night. Let's go on to your pickups. Oh, man. I don't want to have to worry about getting rid of any of my babies.
Hey, so I got one pickup. It's a small toy is one thing. Now, this, but I do have a good amount of stuff coming. I have ordered some things. I don't know when it's all going to be here. It's going to trickle in, but I have been really itchy for the last 2 weeks, and I have bought a lot, so we will have that in the future. But today I got one thing, and it's this little baby, this little this little Max Toy Company Garamon figure.
Look at that.
I in the middle of my like itchy fingeredness, they posted a tease of this guy, and I was like, hey, I love Garamon. I'm buying that. It was like a close up of the green. But I love it. He's green and he's marbled and he's angry, and I like how annoyed he is. And this is the only thing that I have gotten in the last couple of weeks here. So that's it, man. He's cool. He's going to go with the rest of my Ultraman stuff. I got another Garamon over there somewhere, but it makes me want to collect Garamon now. I was like, I just want to buy this guy.
There's lots of stuff, man.
There's some good stuff. I mean, I've been
really
eyeing a few. There's a few that I'm looking at, but he's great.
I love his face. And to your point, when you say like he looks like annoyed or whatever, like I think that like that should be a thing for like when you are in your other podcasts and like, you know, they're talking about something that annoys you. Cause I know sometimes you can get annoyed by things. Like it should just flash that, like, you know, like almost like bat signal, like transition thing, like the Garamon face, or your face should just turn into that.
I'm gonna Photoshop a picture of just my face on this body, me like looking like that, all frowny face.
I have a question because and I don't have anything like that with the marbling. How does the marbling look like in because it's hard to kind of see over camera, but like because it's a newer. I've seen a lot more things doing the marbled vinyl look, and I don't own anything with that.
I mean, it's cool. It's not my like the marbling part of it. So when they, I'll be 100% honest about this toy. When they showed the tease and it was just the face, I was like, oh, I like that color green. But then when they revealed the whole thing and it was like half marbling, I was like, I think I'd like it better if it was just green.
Yeah,
you know, it is cool and it's different. I probably wouldn't buy a ton of marbling figures because it's very weird to me, but. I think it looks better down in the gray where it actually looks like marbling and it kind of looks like paint mixing, which is cool. I think that looks better than the marbling that's like mixed in with the green. That sort of looks like a child just got a marker and started drawing on your toy. I think it works for this toy. And because I love Garamon, I'm okay with all of that. I don't know that marbling is something that I'd rather be like, you know, it's not like glitter or something that's
glow in the dark or whatever.
And it's just like, oh fuck, I get what they're going for, but I don't think the marbling that's not what sold me on the toy.
Yeah. Well, I think like you mentioned, like if it looks like paint swirling, it made me think of like the intros to Ultraman and Ultra Q, you know, where like the paint swirls at the beginning. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. That's 100%. But yeah, dude, that's my
if you start collecting
my tiny little boy,
you gotta the Garamon Pigmon, you gotta like totally document that because I'm sure that is just quite the journey. That's like saying I'm gonna start collecting, you know, Hedera toys because it's just like
there's just
where to start.
I know, dude. Well, I've been eyeing off the top of my head. I don't know who put it out, but that pink one that I had. You know, there's one that you were looking up for me. And, I saw him in person, you know, when I was at the Godzilla pop-up. I'm trying to see if I have him written down. But that guy, I love him. And I think he's, Marasan pink translucent Garamon. That's a cool figure. And I think he'll be the next Garamon that I go for.
Nice.
So, because it's
awesome,
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, no, talk about an iconic looking kaiju. I mean, when I think Tokusatsu on TV, like from a kaiju standpoint, it's like he's one of the first ones that you think of, just because he's in every Ultraman series, and he always does.
I mean, I had a very strong reaction to my first time seeing that episode of Ultra Q. You know, I was just he's the best. He's literally the best.
Yeah,
that's all I got though, man. I guess we got a little bit of news we could talk about before we get into these movies. Nothing like crazy huge, but there's some news, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's one thing that's not toy related.
Yeah.
How about that little mini bomb they dropped about the MonsterVerse coming to Apple TV Plus, possibly?
Apple TV. Weird because like I thought MonsterVerse was dead. You know, everybody was pretty sure that MonsterVerse no longer had the rights to Godzilla, but they specifically said Godzilla will be back here. So, MonsterVerse TV show on Apple TV, which is strange because who's on
HBO Max?
TV?
Yeah,
is it? Yeah,
exactly. I would have thought it would have been HBO Max because
think,
they have the stuff now. And
I don't know, man. I don't know what to expect from it. It seems like a little bit of not a weird move, but a weird move to put it on that channel.
Yeah.
But I can't not be excited for it. Like, of course I want more Godzilla. I just wonder if that means anything as far as like Toho doing any Godzilla stuff. Like,
well, see, that's the first thing I thought of was like, maybe they're doing it here to clear the way for Toho to make the films, right? So Toho will concentrate on films, and Legendary, the MonsterVerse will be a TV property, and obviously anime and stuff can still exist because Toho obviously doesn't like to overlap, right? So I took it as like a positive that they're like, okay, keep it alive, make it TV and or streaming, and all the streaming providers now are so hungry for content. I mean, you have a built-in fan base, and obviously Godzilla versus Kong did so well. I don't know. I in a perfect world for me, I would love for Toho to make movies, and if MonsterVerse is going to continue, something like a episodic streaming, with a binge-worthy type show, I think is interesting. And you could go Monster of the Week, or you could go long, kind of drawn-out story. I don't know how they'll do it, but like, hey, maybe we'll actually get some development of some human characters then.
I mean, maybe. I wonder if they'll bring it. I wonder if they'll try to keep any of the characters from the movies we've already seen. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of questions around it, and zero answers so far, except that it's apparently happening. A live action. Like, I never would have thought I would have been living in a world where it's like, there's just a live action Godzilla TV show just on once a week. Like, that seems insane. That seems very unlikely, but
on Apple TV Plus,
we've done it as a nation, as a world. The United States has finally come together and, gotten their shit straight, and we're going to get a Godzilla show. But that kind of leads into another news thing. There was a toy show, I think, in London that revealed some toys, and there's more Playmates MonsterVerse stuff coming. And I feel like it can't be super related to the show because that's so soon, but the packaging on the toys, like they still got like Godzilla versus Kong or whatever, but mainly they'll say like it says MonsterVerse really big. Yeah. So it's like they're trying to just, play that up, and I wonder what the deal is there. A lot of them kind of look like repaints of some of the figures we already got. It looks like there's, a new King Ghidorah. There's, skull crawlers, different versions of Kong with the axe. They're painted all crazily. Some of them some of them are hard to tell. Like, it was just the same figure in another package. But then there's also some more of the, it looks like the Bandai movie line, but I believe are they called something different? They're called like
the Toho series
or something. And there's a couple new kaiju coming out with that. So
I'm trying to find the image. I can't quite find it, but I think that is because Bandai did a Toho Kaiju series,
right?
Ran, but the Toho series, I love it. Like, they're going here, we're going to have our core MonsterVerse stuff, but then also in the American shelves, we're going to expand out and do other things like that would, the Godzilla Terrestris from Singular Point look great.
I'm excited about that one.
But it's interesting. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, I hate getting in the arguments with people on Playmates and the Bandai America stuff or whatever, because at the end of the day, we have Godzilla stuff on the shelves for people of all ages, of all, where they're at in their entry point to Godzilla, different price ranges, because you don't have to have an X Plus or a really rare Marmot Sculpt item to be a Godzilla fan. And I love that you can go to the store and you see 8, 9, 10-year-old kids, like not much different than we were with the Trendmaster stuff or whatever, like going into these stores and picking up a Jet Jaguar, picking up a Gorosaurus and a Rodan. Like, that's so awesome. So I think it just makes the love of kaiju and the next generation of kaiju lovers very strong and very healthy. So I'm like, I might not buy all of them. They're not maybe for me to display, but the playability is weird. I'll probably buy some for my kiddos because they love it. And so, like, I don't know. It makes me very, very happy that we can go to Targets and Walmarts and get Godzilla toys. Yeah. And some really obscure ones at that. That's awesome.
I feel exactly the same. I'm not going to be buying all of it, but I'll pick and choose. But just the fact that, we talk a lot about, or I talk a lot about Godzilla versus Megalon and how it's just one of my favorite movies of all time, and how insane that movie is, how silly it is, how weird it is, and how every person that I know personally from my entire 36 years of life only know what that is because I've talked about it. Like, they only know what Jet Jaguar is because I talk about it. I can go to Target right now and buy a
See?
Jet Jaguar, and
It's
that
legit.
is amazing.
I love that, man. No, it's awesome. I mean, and I hope that all this stuff gets released and it's just the first of many. And with a TV show, that media behind it, and assuming it does well and stays on, like, you're only going to get more toys.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it's pretty cool stuff. It's a good time. Like, I feel like there's always been moments in kaiju collecting and kaiju fandom, I should say, like where, okay, it's really good for the people that love, high-end collectibles in the Showa era, because there's not a lot of media coming. Now there's going to be something for everybody. There's whatever happens with Singular Point, then they're talking to this maybe this anime crowd that likes anime before they like kaiju, but they're open to it because of the medium. You have the Monsterverse. You're going to have kids toys, Playmates toys and stuff that are there accessible to young kids. You're still going to have all of your high-end exclusive Sofubi. You're still going to have your high-end X Plus. You're going to have Mamond. It's Super 7. Like, you're hitting every level and style of collector and fan, and that is like it's almost like it's a all-out attack by Toho and Godzilla and stuff on people. Like, it's the best approach, right? And it's great. So I feel like we're getting into I don't know what's called a golden era, but I'm getting into, because we'll talk a little bit about the best year of all time in kaiju. We'll mention that later on. But like, we're getting the era where, like, there's gonna be a lot of stuff and a lot of content for a lot of people, and all different fans of kaiju will be able to grab something that they like and really sink their teeth into it. So I'm really pumped.
That I can say none of that any better. So I'm just gonna agree with what you just said, and we're gonna move on.
Thank
to
you.
The next
I
one.
appreciate that.
Speaking of Singular Point, and they are putting out a Singular Point's not putting it out. SH Monster Arts is putting out a Singular Point Rodan figure, which looks great. I love that it's got all the other little, the accessories, the little Rodans that kind of look like they're far away.
There he is. There he is.
I like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, we'll blow it up.
Yeah, this looks great, man. I love all of the Monster Art stuff. I'm not sure that I'll pick this up. God, I want to though. I'm looking at it. I did get that one. I love that photo with all the other Rodans. I did pick up the Jet Jaguar. I don't know when that's coming, but I did buy it. So
2024.
Probably.
I thought this was cool. Like, so I don't own any Monster Arts, but I've really kind of liked from afar what they've done with Singular Point. I think their Godzilla Ultima is one of the best out there. Like, I love that one. Yeah. And then the Jet Jaguar looks great. I just think this one is cool because, to your point, this one, like with the little flock of rodents, I think that's such a unique way to display it and bring, because it is such a big part of, like, one of the scenes that you think about in the movie is like the big Rodan and all the little ones and stuff. I think that was cool. And also, I feel like the Rodan reimagining gets like the least amount of love of any of the reimagined characters from that, because you just don't see a ton. Like, you had the plush, but like, it just, even like some of the smaller stuff they've released, you haven't seen. It doesn't have a Bandai movie monster series. It doesn't have a lot of these like kind of the main core toys. The fact that they're doing it, and they're doing it in such a unique way, kudos to you, Monster Arts, man. That's really cool. I might like just pick this up because I feel this toy needs to be supported.
Dude, I want you to pick it up just so you can see what you've been missing out on Monster Arts, because I know if you buy, look at that. Oh, I guess I have to buy it. Look at that. Dude,
just to recreate that.
Also, speaking of Singular Point, I'm going back down that road. I rewatched the first episode last night.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm going to go through the whole thing. I'm not sure how quickly I'm going to get down all of it. Jess is watching along with me. She's not seen it. So
cool, nice.
We're going to do it, man. I want to rewatch it and get back into that world, because
how about we bring her on and we can redo it on the show, an episode, have all three of us to talk about it to see if it's changed. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what did it for me? What made me want to go back in and watch it is that they released the soundtrack on Spotify.
Oh,
you
nice.
can go onto Spotify and listen to the soundtrack, and it's great. It's so good.
Yeah.
Look at how good that looks.
I know, right? For those listening, we are pulling up some images from kaijubattle.net of the Rodan, and this one is the little Rodans around the Godzilla Ultima from Monster Arts. Yeah, looks so good. Good job, guys. Like I said, the Rodan one, I like the design. I know it was controversial, but I'm just glad it's getting a little bit more representation in collectibles form.
Well, he deserves it, or
he deserves it, man. He deserves it.
What other, we got any other news here? What other
Well, I gotta show this one. You know I gotta show this one.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, I will have another Marasan Bio Goji, Marasan 350 Bio Goji. So this one, like the Disco Goji, the translucent glitter one, they're coming out with a dark glitter one. Also going to be a Tokyo Hands, the Shibuya store exclusive. So look at this guy. I mean, same sculpt. The sculpt that I show off now, I've showed off 8 times.
Right.
This guy, but this is going to be dark glitter. I dig it, and I'm going to buy it. I mean,
is that going to be like easy to pick up, or is it going to, since it's an exclusive, is that going to be a little harder to grab?
They just hit shelves in, like I said, one store, one retailer on the 22nd of January, so a couple days back. And so I don't know. I haven't seen any pop up. So just to put in perspective, like I'm just now seeing some of the 50th anniversary Gigan Marasan lucky bags, the ones, that we talked about, hitting kind of the secondhand market. So I think this will probably follow pretty short after that. So I think that I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks I'll see a few pop up, probably way overpriced, but I'm going to be getting it. And I mean, you have to. It's my thing, and I love it, and I'm okay because like I love this sculpt. Like I love Godzilla '89 suit, and I love what Marasan's done with it. And like honestly, all of the different wacky colorways and things they've done have really just kind of hit home for me. Like I love every one. So I'm going to continue this one as long as Marasan continues. It'll at least have one person buying this crap.
Well,
so that was a good one.
Yeah, love that.
And then let's see what else we got here. I'm just going. Oh, we already talked about Rodan.
You got it all pulled up. Okay.
I do have it all pulled up. How about this one? This one, we're talking about MonsterVerse. This was announced last week. The Godzilla versus Kong with the axe in X Plus Defo Real. I think this guy looks great.
Yeah, I mean he looks cool. It's not a buy for me, but he looks very fun. I like it.
Yeah, I don't collect Defo Real, and I don't really collect a lot of Kong stuff, so it's not a buy in that. But I just feel like the axe and everything, like there's something about him that's even like kind of like angry, like gnome or angry troll type looking thing, almost like a fantasy character, not even Kong. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I thought that was an interesting one. And people, there's all those Kong fans, they will be buying the
sculpts for D4 Real are always amazing. Like whether I'm going to collect them or not, the sculpts are great. Yeah,
and there's something about this. I see it's like I also think a little bit like Rampage, the video game. If he was brown, like George from there. I don't know. There's just something goofy and like I don't know, but still like he still has like the mean evil face, like angry face. I don't know. I don't know. There's something, like I said, otherworldly about it. So I thought that was kind of a cool release. And what else do we got? Oh, you gotta look at this one.
Oh boy.
So Marasan 350, not Bio Goji. They announced one of their new lottery figures, the Hedera glow in the dark. But it has this almost like pink and purple porcelain type look. It's like you can see it's kind of like split half and half. See if I kind of
looks like ice cream. I kind of want to eat it.
100%. But look at this. I thought, and it glows in the dark. I absolutely adore this piece. Yeah, I think this is one that I will pick up if I see it at a decent price. The problem with a lot of the Hedera lucky bags and some of the more exclusive stuff, they're expensive because there's always a market for them as art pieces and stuff.
For sure.
So there's a glow in the dark one there.
Ooh, does.
So that was a cool one. I thought that was neat. And I don't know. I dig the colorway, and there's so much new Hedera stuff always. I thought this one stood out a little bit just because it had almost that like porcelain type feel.
Yeah.
And then this was one.
We have to talk about this. Yeah.
And so I tried to make sure time this where it was last, right? So this is the Shochiku and Toway Kaiju Festival figure announcements, and they're doing this festival to coincide with what to do with the dead kaiju, that new film about which we've talked about I think briefly many moons ago.
Yep.
Just about like, well, what a great concept. Like, what do you do when a giant carcass of a dead kaiju is left in the city? Like, I mean, like, there's so much that they could go with it. But Bandai and M1 are releasing some cool kind of kaiju stuff related to it. And so M1's releasing the before he died version of the kaiju, and I'll get to that because it looks really cool. But then Bandai is releasing this set of gashapon of gacha that includes not only the dead kaiju carcass, but also Guilala Monster X is there. So
Yep.
let me see if I. Oh, there's the dead kaiju carcass.
God,
But,
I love that he's got his legs sticking straight up.
but then here you go. Here's our boy Guilala in 2-inch Gashapon form. I actually think this is
Love
really
it.
good. This looks really good.
Yeah, it's crazy that it's only 2 inches because it has a lot of detail in it. And usually those 2-inch figures, usually they're pretty plain, but that looks great.
And then here is the
What is
dead kaiju before he dies. Interpretation by M1.
Right.
Look at this guy. This guy looks
That's
amazing.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
I
very
want that.
pumped for. I know. I'm very pumped for that. And that's gonna be coming at a Wonderfest. This guy right here is so pretty cool stuff. I just thought that it was neat that the day that we're gonna record an episode talking about X from outer space, Monster X Strikes Back, there's any toy news, no matter how big or small, related to Monster X. I'm just like, it just is meant to be, man.
We made them happen. We made those toys happen. We did it.
Yeah, so I thought that was a perfect timing and really, really cool.
For sure. Well, I guess it's about time to get into these movies, and we can talk about them. I don't know. There's not really a format that I feel like is acceptable for these two films. We'll just get into them. First of all, had you seen these before?
So I had seen the X from Outer Space a handful of times, maybe two or three.
Yeah.
I'd never seen Monster X Strikes Back.
Okay.
So it was revisiting an old friend, so to speak, and then meeting a new friend along the way. And I will say, one thing I think for our fans out there, if they are listeners, hopefully they're fans, if they're listening, but they'll go there if they watch these, especially the original, the X from Outer Space.
Yeah.
You have to understand like when this movie was made in 1967, because, and I had to write this down because the list is so long. People, and this is true, people do refer to 1967 as the year of the kaiju, because it is truly represents kind of this era or this year, this period where the kaiju boom is at its height. Because not only do you have kind of the advent of, with Mara-san kind of bringing Ultra Kaiju and Godzilla monsters in Sofubi form, and so you have for the first time not role play toys but collectible action figure-esque toys, and we've talked about this on previous episodes. So you have that hitting, which is totally shifting the paradigm of how kids now can interact with monsters. But you have you're winding down the initial season of Ultraman, getting into Ultra 7. So like the biggest tokusatsu show ever is really just kind of hitting its stride. And let's listen to what we have going on in 1967. So I'm going to say December of 66 through December of 67, because as you know, like movies get released at the end of December, especially Godzilla. So you have, going on at once, fighting for your kaiju viewing dollars, you have Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, Ebra, Horror of the Deep, that was released in December. You have Ultraman 66 winding down. You have Ultra 7. You have Son of Godzilla. You have Gappa the Triphibian Monster. You have Gamera versus Gauss. You have King Kong Escapes. You have Damajin Strikes Again, which came out in December. But all three of those movies came out in 1966. So they're bleeding into 67. You have on TV, you have Captain Ultra, and you have Kaiju Uji, which was the Monster Prince, or EG, I believe it's pronounced, all on TV. So you have 3 or 4 mega TV shows, including Ultraman, and you have Toho by themselves releasing King Kong Escapes, Son of Godzilla, and Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster in reverse order there. You have Dai with Daimajin and Gamera Gauss, and you have Gappa from Nikatsu, and you have Monster X from Shochiku. But that's pretty crazy that in 1 year's time, you have all of this going on in this genre. And it was the hottest thing in Japan in 1967. And so when you think of the studio and think of Shochiku, what they were known for, I mean, this is a company that started in 1895 as a kabuki production company. They're the oldest, first, whatever you want to call it, production company that's still around in the film industry. Even though they weren't the first to show film, that was, I believe, Nikatsu. I think Nikatsu, maybe 1912. Anyway, but Shochiku was the first ones from kabuki to film. First talkie ever done there. They were the first talkie film in the 30s. And so this company had been known for highbrow upper echelon, award-winning type films. I mean, they have. I mean, some of the films that they have were some of the highest grossing and most critically acclaimed films in the history of Japanese cinema. I mean, truly, like, remarkable. I forget, one of them, was it a Tokyo Story, was one that they did in the 50s, that it was like a Sight and Sound, the third greatest international film ever released. Like, I mean, they have these critically acclaimed things, but they even got wrapped up in the kaiju boom in 1967. And they're like, you know what? We're going to abandon our high art and we're going to create a kaiju film. So it is to show you how crazy that year was, and like to set it up like this isn't just like some wackadoo that's like, hey, let's just go make a monster movie. This is the most critically acclaimed. Yeah, no, this is an art house. This would be like an art house making a Godzilla movie, or excuse me, a kaiju movie, just because everything else is going crazy for kaiju. So that's a little bit of kind of backstory on that.
Thanks for that history, man. That's really cool.
Yeah,
can you imagine living any year where there's that many kaiju films coming out? I remember like, you know, when 2014 Godzilla came out, and then you know, not too far was the first Pacific Rim, and I remember being like,
golden era.
I remember being like, this is it, 2 kaiju films, close. This is gonna make it happen. And it's like, all right, we've gotten 4 or 5 maybe. That's pretty cool. And that 1 year, boy. So we'll do a quick, for anybody who's not seen this movie. First of all, watch it. It's on HBO Max. The first film is on HBO Max. And just a quick rundown. So you got a group of astronauts who are just the funnest group of astronauts. They love each other, and
and they like to party.
They have their bosses immediately are. I was like, how do you not know these bosses are up to something? They seem like immediately like evil. But anyway, so they go up into space. There's UFOs. They know there might be UFOs. They come back carrying spores.
But they go up in the AAB Gamma. You cannot forget the great spaceship, the AAB Gamma.
Yep. They come back carrying these spores, one of which turns into Monster X, who, despite his goofy appearance and despite his really weird, I was a little annoyed when I got to the second film and he sounded kind of different, because I like his really goofy roar from the first film. He's kind of a badass, and he's fucking shit up, and he's destroying things. And they have to try to figure out a way to get rid of him. And that's basically the simple plot of the movie. I want to say immediately, I'm going to jump directly to the end and say one of the most disturbing things that I saw in this movie was when they kind of melted him. Like when he's like, they cover, I'm jumping around and I don't care.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
The fact that they find a way to shrink him back to his spore origins, and to do that they have to cover him with some sort of made up I don't know
Guilalanium. It's
there you go.
It's the Guilalanium.
They're gonna cover him with that. So they're like dropping this stuff on him, and he slowly gets covered in it. He gets like dizzy, and then he melts, and he just melts into nothing. And I'm like, oh, all right.
More disturbing death of kaiju. This or Yongari's anal hemorrhaging?
It's Yongari for sure. It's Yongari still. I still wake up in the middle of the night, Jay, sometimes screaming for Yongari and seeing, every time I close my eyes, all I see is the anal bleeding of Yongari and his death cries.
I always see him doing the itchy dance, so you have that one too. Yes. And I love your recap was spot on. I mean, it's just like, it's the
simplest plot. It's just
100%.
literally monster. But they bring a monster back and then got to kill it.
But here's I'm going to say some like negative things. A lot of stuff will be positive, but one of the negative things like about that is like, it is such a simple plot, right? UFO, check out stuff. UFOs are disappearing. Go out, check out alien spaceship. shoots the spaceship with spores, goes back to Earth. Guilala goes and wrecks shit up until they figure out how to kill him. Here's the other thing: who the fuck was in the alien vessel? Like they never.
The aliens never come back. There's never anything else that has to do. They're not like, we want to take over Earth. They just shoot the spores and they're like, peace.
Yeah,
like they just want
their
to
connection
fuck it up from afar. I like that about. I was like, fuck it, who cares? They don't want to come to Earth. Yeah,
and you also you touched.
Go ahead.
So you touched on something I absolutely love about the film. Is like you said, like he's like a goofy looking monster. But yet he destroys stuff. Yeah, he's a goofy monster. His arsenal of weapons. I mean, he shoots fireballs. He eats nuclear energy. He can turn into a sphere and like fly around and just destroy stuff
around the world.
I mean, he is a badass. But yeah, like he's just goofy looking. Oh, and actually, so I'm not taking credit for this. It was not my idea. But I can't remember. Now I'm gonna bug me who it was. If it might have been. It might have been an old Kaiju Cast episode. It was definitely like a podcast that they were reviewing this film. I remember this a long time ago. So that's why I think it probably was Kaiju Cast, because it was a long time ago. They had a theory that was not explored in the film, but like these spores, what if it was supposed to be like they took on kind of attributes of what they adhered to? Because like if you look at it, like he kind of looks like the AAB Gamma, how his head is, and he has like the antenna and some stuff like that. Like they could maybe like they could have explored something like there's a lot of stuff they could have done like how
other creatures that look different, because that's really cool.
Because like he kind of does have some elements of like, you know, with like the saucer like stuff. I don't know, if you look at it, there's some elements that could have kind of
like
that. Like I said, I didn't come up with it, but that I've always when I watch it, I always think about that. I'm like, yeah, they could even do some more cool stuff, and they do a lot of cool stuff with him, but they could even do some more stuff with the story.
Yeah, you know, I stopped and rewound it a couple times, and especially when he first turns into the red ball of light and flies away, because I was like, because I was watching the movie and I looked down at my phone or something, and I look up and I'm like, what is happening? And I'm like, did they kill him? And I'm like, what happened? Did they kill him? What the fuck? What'd they do to him? And I'm like, oh, he just flies away. He just does that.
Hey, it allows him to get to destroy different cities a lot quicker. You know, I mean, he's like, hey, I'll just fly to Sapporo and I'll fly to Tokyo or whatever. I mean, it's just such a crazy movie, and there's so much like it's kind of a little bit non sequitur. Like there's just things that they start doing and like just never follow up on. Like I always thought it was funny. You have this like scene that you think when you're watching it is important, like the doctor that's initially on the ship gets sick and they have to replace him with Dr. Stein or whoever or whatever the guy is like. But like that other doctor he has no role. Like it's just like they're like, oh crap, like he doesn't want to act in the movie anymore.
He couldn't be in the exactly. I was gonna say like he got called into something. He got called into a real job. There's a great one of the things I really love is the way the effects team has handled gravity in this movie.
Moon dancing.
There's this great, there's a lot of dancing. There's a great scene where a piece of paper is like flying through the air. It's just on a string, and they're in the ship, and he's like, "Oh, I forgot. There's no gravity." And then there's this scene where there are like meteorites or something hitting the ship, and there's a hole, and everybody's just like getting sucked, like they're getting sucked out, but they're just running around. There's some really great stuff in this movie. I thought I wasn't really sure what to think when I put this movie on. I was like, God, is this going to be hard to get through? Or what are we doing? But 5 minutes in, I was like, this is a good one. This is one of the good ones. I know this is going to be fun. And that's the best part about it. It's fun, and it's got a great kaiju design.
It does. Maybe the best. I mean, I think that is because I feel the same way. To me, there's a lot of charm in this movie, and I feel that there's a lot of kaiju films get in trouble, but they try to walk that fine line, intentionally or not, between like kaiju and kaiju parody, and some do it well and some don't. This one, I don't think the intention was to make this a parody. There's just some stuff because it's 1967 and this retro futurist vibe type thing going on, and that make it silly and goofy, but like in a charming way and an embracing way. And I think though, we're more apt to give it a chance because it's signature thing, the kaiju itself, is one of the coolest, most memorable designs of like the Showa era. Like it's so cool. It's so like retro futurist, alien-y, like cheap schlocky B movie, but yet awesome and different. And it wasn't like Yongari, I think, suffers from it being just, it's kind of a dinosaur with a horn, right? Like it's like Barugan from Gamera meets kind of an ultra kaiju monster type thing. This is like unique. There's nothing else like it. And so kudos for them on that.
Yep. Every aspect of the design is great. And he's also in it a lot. It's not like one of those movies where it's like, cool, there's no, we're an hour in, there's still no monster out. You know, like he's in it a lot. It's
They're
pretty
teasing
good.
it, yeah.
One of the things that happened to me immediately, I'm guilty of not even finishing the movie, was I was like, I gotta see what toys are out there for this guy. And there's some good toys out there. There's some really good figures of this guy. And I did kind of spoil the second movie for myself with there being the second monster, because a lot of toys of that second kaiju popped up. And something that I just have to say is that there was one figure that me and you were looking at, and I'm like, this is very cute. I like this guy. You're like looking him up, and we're finding him. And then like the next day I put the second movie on, and the toy is in the second movie. They use it on their map like to place. And I'm like, that's the literal toy from the first movie is just the second movie.
I'm so glad you caught that. It never registered for me. It never registered. Then you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, 100%. Like I could see it
get it
after. Yeah, no. So a little tease, and I don't know what episode it'll be, but I did buy a Guilala toy. I did buy one. I didn't buy that one, but I bought one for a future. But anyway, I agree. Like the toys are awesome, and there's some really cool stuff that a lot of different companies have done with it. But and it's a perfect movie to have a toy of. Like I feel like I would be less of a human if I didn't have a Guilala toy after Love, because it's not it's one of those things. It's like it's a charming little sci-fi movie, and if you like silly movies and you like kaiju and you like retrofuturism, I think there's something aesthetically or about the kaiju scenes that you can grab onto, right? I really do. I mean, are there massive plot holes or just like things like what? Absolutely. Is there some stilted acting and some kind of questionable 100%. Character development? Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, are there major like disasters going on where Guilala's destroying the world and they're like, hey, we'll have a cocktail party or we'll go jump and dance on the moon? Yes, that happens too.
There was a scene where all of a sudden I'm like, hold on, are they still in space? Because all of a sudden they're like they're in a nightclub, and I'm like, hold on, is this on Mars? Where are they? And it's like, oh no, I guess they're back now. And it's like, and also one of the things that didn't get, as soon as you put the movie on and you meet there's their boss, and then there's the American boss who's got like the redheaded dude with the
overseeing goatee. Everything.
You're like, so I put it on, and I'm like, it's so obvious that these guys are the villains and they're sending them up here for something, but they're not. And they're genuinely concerned when the monster shows up, and they're like, "Oh no, what do we do?" And it's like,
he has the evil villain beard and everything.
They were super sketchy in the beginning, and like they would have scenes where the main crew were really happy and excited that they're going to space, and then it would cut to those two. Like the two like bosses, and they'd be like brooding and looking at each other and like whispering, and it's like, oh, are they sending these people to die? But no, they're not bad guys at all. They're just businessmen. I don't know.
So I have to ask you about the plot, about the whole story, that that type of stuff notwithstanding. I think like the one thing it's known for, or like most people think about when they think about the plot piece, is the love triangle, right? Like you have the Captain Sano, and then you have Michiko, and then of course the late great Peggy Neal, who just passed away in December at the age of 74. So,
man,
R.I.P. Peggy Neal, who plays Lee. She's also in like Latitude Zero and a couple other movies. But anyway, I digress. And it's like love interest stories aren't necessarily always part of kaiju film, but like the love triangle to some degree we've seen. Obviously, Godzilla with Serizawa and Ogata and stuff, and then you also have Yamane's daughter, and then you also have right after that Godzilla raids again. I mean, with Koji Kobayashi and Tsukioka, and I forget the name of the girl in that, but I thought that it could have been explored even more. I thought like it was kind of like a subtle love triangle. It almost was like just two catty ladies that just were like whatever. I never really understood till later like where they stood, and I never felt like Sano had any interest in Lisa, and it was just kind of a jealousy thing. So I thought it could have been better, and you could have done some more stuff. Or maybe that shower scene would have had a little more impact on gravitas than it did. But I'm sure 1967 they were like,
there was a shower scene.
Yeah, they probably were like, "What's going on?"
The love triangle angle in kaiju films is kind of weird to me, and I feel like the only reason you get so much of that, like it feels weird, like it's a specific, like why would you put a love triangle in a Godzilla movie? But I think it comes from a place where you think about like, okay, we're gonna put humans in this movie. There's creatures. We need some other kind of dramatic element. What is the most dramatic thing you can think of? A love triangle. If you've ever been in a love triangle, it's fucking stressful type shit, so it's like that's why they put that in there, I think. And I feel like somebody did it and they're like, oh well, we'll just put a love triangle because that creates more drama. Even as silly as the movie is, they're like, fuck it, that's what we need to generate a drama in this movie. And
I think there's truth to that, but they should do a riff on it and have it be a kaiju love triangle. So think about this, like you have Biollante and you have Godzilla and Space Godzilla fighting over the love of Biollante because they all are kind of Godzilla.
That's incestual. That's incestual though. It needs to be more like, maybe it should be Godzilla, Mothra, and Batra.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Or Godzilla and each of King Ghidorah's heads. I don't know, man.
King Ghidorah is a love triangle in itself. I mean, like just, the middle head, both of them.
One head sleeping, and the other two are like, "Hey, hey, left. What are you doing?" Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. I enjoyed this movie though, and I think we can do some jumping around. We'll go ahead and start talking about the second film. But if there's anything else that brings you back to the first film or anything you want to, whatever. Now, this second film, hold on to your butts. I was expecting not this. Right away, this movie's insane. And I love how one of the first lines of dialogue is like, two of your characters are like, they're going to the summit. It's the G8 summit, where like the president of every country is just hanging out together. And one of these characters, I wish I would have written this line down because I don't have it. But one of the female characters is like, oh, we're at the site of the G8 summit. Where, what does she say? She's like, where we get to talk about the relationship of the earth and nature. And it's just like such a funny, because a monster's about to show up and it's not going to be a good relationship between earth and nature. It's like the first line in the movie. This movie has dance sequences, many of them, monster dance sequences. He does Godzilla's dance. I'm pretty sure there's literally some Godzilla music in this movie.
You have the one local that says he would much preferred Varan and Baragon.
Yeah, dude. There's one of the things I really liked is there is like a weird little cultish tribe of people who are like praying to the like savior monster, which is a very it reminded me of King Caesar immediately, except that there's only like 15 of them. But they sing this song, this very ridiculous song 10 times in this movie, and I have not been able
Neci-Coma.
I've not been, dude. I keep getting, you can just watch a like 2-minute clip of just that song on YouTube. And I've watched it 5 times today. I cannot get that. I looked to see if it was on Spotify because I can't get it out of my head. It's not. I looked up the composer. I was like, let's see if this is on Spotify.
I need it on vinyl,
Yeah. So this movie is weird because it is a sequel, but nobody knows who Guilala is. Like he just shows up, and he shows up in the same way, like with a meteorite, and it's the same creature. He has all the same weapons. He does all the same shit, but they like name him again. And I'm like, okay, it was a sequel, but they don't but he's new. I don't know. It's just one of those like
I don't know if it's a sequel. I just think it's like
it's called Monster X Strikes Back. It's a sequel, but it's like
it's
not
kind of like Godzilla.
Continuity.
Yeah, it's kind of like Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2 is called Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, but it has nothing to do with the original
There's no
one.
continuity. That's what it is. Yeah.
The best part though about on what you just said, it's like we don't know what's going on. They're at the G8 summit, and then like he shows up. They think it's a meteorite. I think it's like a Chinese satellite. It's revealed, but anyway, and then Dr. Sano, like Captain Sano in the original one, he just appears and he's like, "Oh yes, he actually is a spore that came from came from outer space and needs high temperature energy." It's like you get all the stuff that you're supposed to uncover in like one guy's like 20-second monologue. It's like, okay, there's everything in the backstory you need to know. I'm like, talk about showing versus telling. Like this was tell. It was hilarious. And there's like, oh, major plot points, things you need to know. I'll just have some guy appear on screen.
Just tell it now.
And he already knows all this stuff. Like 10 seconds after Guilala arrives, it's like, oh yeah, he needs to sustain himself by going to high temperature like energy and the nuclear energy and stuff. I'm like, okay, I love it.
So because your main characters are the council of the G8 summit, you have like the American president,
President
like,
Burger.
President Burger's his name. Like the dude from France. There's like all the different, and they are all, basically the most offensive stereotypes you can think of. They're all very like there were times where I was like, oh, this okay. Well, this is what we're doing.
Yes.
The acting is really bad, and I cannot tell if it's on purpose or if it's like because this movie, sure, the first movie's silly, but this one is level 11. Yeah, this one is meant to be level 11. It's a parody, it's a comedy. So the acting is like, it feels like they were like, hey, because we want this to be as funny as possible, let's get 10 people who've never acted in their lives and put them, that's how it feels. It feels like it's, but also, Ultraman's in this.
Yeah. And no, it's like Ultraman, both Ultraman and Shin Hayata, the original Ultraman, because it's Ben Furuya and Susume Kurobe plays Shin Hayata. Yeah. But then the best one for me was Yasuke Natsuki was the third general. That is, I mean, I just watched Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster the other day, and Detective Shindo is so badass. And then, of course, he comes back as Dr. Hayashida in Godzilla 1985, or Return of Godzilla 1985.
That's like Godzilla royalty.
And he is, and here's the thing. That dude is a great actor. Like, Hayashida is a really, really, like, great character. And Shindo as well. But, like, he has some chops, right? I mean, he's more of, like, in your Hiroshi Koizumi, Akira Takarada type level. Mm-hmm. And, like, he's in there. I mean, like, it's hilarious. You have, like, these guys that are just there. And then, well, we won't get to Takemajin yet, but there's also, like, the guy that voices that is freaking Beat Takeshi. So it's, like, it's so crazy. They got a lot of people in there, but they spent all their budget on those guys. And the G8 political leaders were truly like day one of acting class. Like, hey, you want to be in a movie? Here you go.
And you can also tell that they spent all their budget on those guys because most of the kaiju action is just stock footage from the first film until the last literal 10 minutes. Yeah. It's basically mostly stock footage. Yeah. And maybe I wouldn't have been able to tell if I hadn't just watched the first film, but you're like, oh, I've watched him tear down these power lines 15 times. It's the same power lines over and over. God, I don't even know honestly, I don't know what the plot of this movie is. So he shows up, the summit, they're all trying to figure it out. The French guy's just trying to like bone the secretary and which he succeeds in doing somehow. They're all just like,
oh, the British guy. You got to talk about the British guy who does not speak in a British accent. He just has a regular accent, like he's from Terre Haute, Indiana. Right. And they basically like at first they're all going to leave. They're all going to evacuate. But like, I think it's the American president who's like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. So then they're all like, oh, well, then I'm not going anywhere. And they all just decide to stay. And they're all. And the Canadian just wants to be nice. The Ryan Dole of the group just wants to be nice to everybody. Oh, man.
It's they're all trying to come up with ways to kill the monster. They decide at some point they're going to shoot some nuclear missiles at it, but after the missile is launched, they realize because they launch one and he eats it.
He
eats the missile. He catches it. He eats it, and then he laughs at them, and they're like, he's laughing at us. And then there's a 30-second dance scene with a song. It's like a 30-second song, and it looks like the sun setting. And Monster X is just like enjoying himself, and he's having a little dance scene. I loved it. Second favorite part of the film.
And also him eating a missile, not the weirdest thing that happens to a missile in this movie.
Well, we're getting there.
And I loved about the G8 guys, like they each had their kind of like super weapon, right? Like one of them was gonna brainwash him, and they dropped like the headphones down on him.
I like the way he looked with the. I thought the headphones thing was cool, and I was kind of hoping that was going to be a bigger. I was like, oh, that kind of looks cool, But it didn't work.
I feel like this movie, it's kind of like two movies. Like there's all the stuff with the G8 leaders and all that kind of just over the top caricatures of these countries trying to kill Guilala. Yeah. And then there's like the reporter, I forget her name, and her friend who stumble on the little village, and like you mentioned, like the villagers that worship Takemajin and do the Neci-Coma dance and all that type of stuff. And I feel like that's like the two different stories. Like I really think if you took other than like the silly dance, but even with the silly dance, I think that could be like a non-parody kaiju movie. It felt the G8 stuff is really kind of the goofier,
but that other stuff felt really Showa to me. It really 100%. And one of the things I love about they do just stumble upon these people and they're dancing when they stumble upon them, and they're dancing the whole movie. And I love at some point they cut back to it, and the photographer, the journalist they're now doing the dance too, and she looks very confused, and she's like looking around like she doesn't know what's happening, but she's doing the dance perfectly. And it's like, it's a complicated dance, I'm like, she's just doing this dance along with them. And they do that throughout the entire film. There's no explanation. They're just doing it throughout the entire film. There's a statue that's glowing, and like you figure it out. You're like, oh, okay, this creature is gonna show up. But after he eats the missile, they realize like, hey, they're sending another missile, and they're like, hey, if this missile hits him, it's gonna knock these spores all over the world. And they will all turn in to him, and they'll just actually, it's not. They don't send it. Remember, it's revealed. Oh, so fuck! Kim Jong-Il is in this movie. Oh my god! How did I forget that?
Because the best part is, so the current Japanese prime minister has a bad case of diarrhea. No, like legitimately, and they replace him with the old prime minister, who actually is Kim Jong-Il in disguise. Or Un, or whoever was in 2008.
I looked it up and it said it was ill, but I wasn't because they don't say his name. They don't say his name.
The leader of the North, or whatever. Yeah,
but it's clearly one of the
and all the women in there actually turned to be as like sexy assassins.
Oh my god, this is a double. You could double feature this with Pulgasari.
100%.
How did I forget that? That's the most insane thing. And in the prime minister having diarrhea, they literally set that up from the first moment he's on. His stomach's always, he's like, I gotta shit. He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I remember being like, what is that supposed to be? Not realizing that was a setup for later. I was just like, did they just think that that's funny?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's North Korea launches the second one that, and I'll let you finish it because you deserve the right to set this up.
Kim Jong-Il is in this movie and sends another missile, and it's they want this to happen.
Yeah,
North Korea wants this.
This is North Korea.
They want monsters all over the world, but in the last second, the dance pays off, and the savior. This new kaiju enters. He just appears, and his name is
Takemajin.
And he shows up. He looks really cool. For like 30 seconds, he's got like 8 arms. He's got like 6 arms that are like doing this really cool thing. He appears directly in front of this nuclear missile, and he stops the missile with his asshole. This missile enters his body through the orifice of his ass. The missile is swallowed whole.
Yeah.
And that's it. The missile's gone.
He saves the day.
He saves the day by sucking a missile into his butt.
Mm-hmm.
And
then proceeds to have a really long fight with Guilala.
Then there's the fight. and then it just cuts, and all of his arms are gone except for the 2. He's a 2-armed creature.
Apparently retract.
They're just gone. And then they have a fight. They have a cool little battle, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's a good fight.
And then there's another cool thing happens. He just cuts his head off. He just fucking saws his head right off his neck, and it flies through the air, lands on the ground. He has saved the day. Monster X is dead. And then he has his 6 arms again.
Yep, man.
And then he disappears, and then the fucking credits roll.
I mean, wouldn't you, if you had 6 arms and you wanted to fight, wouldn't you want 6 arms in the fight?
Don't you think it would be? Yeah. Haven't you ever played Mortal Kombat? You pick Goro because he has 4 arms. This creature has 8 arms at one point.
Yeah.
They just disappear when he starts fighting because they're just like glued on or something.
Oh,
they're just like this static. This is the weirdest. I've never in my life thought it. It annoys me that I've been alive for 36 years. This movie has existed the entire length of my life, and it took me 36 years to watch a kaiju eat a missile with his ass.
Well, no, in your defense, this one only came out in 2008, so you're good.
Oh, you're right. I'm thinking of the first 2008.
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. I got that.
And the other thing, so Takemajin, I think is cool. Like I like it's kind of like a yokai or god type thing, right? Like it looks kind of cool. An idol type thing, but so this, as the story goes, so it's voiced by Beat Takeshi, who is, for a lot of folks that, or at least of my age, my generation, we watched a lot of MXC, Most Extreme Challenge, which was they redubbed Takeshi's Castle, and he was the character that on MXC was Vic Romano, right? But like the main guy, he hosted that and had a long, comic career in Japan and stuff. Like he's pretty famous over there. And but so the story was, and I don't know if it's true, but sounds plausible, that he wanted to actually play Takemajin, but he was so old. I mean, at the time he was too old to actually do the suit work, so he just did the voice. But it's still, he gets his name in the credits, and that's another cool kind of celebrity that's tied to this wackadoo of a film.
Yeah, I love it. That's a cool little nugget. I love that, man. I highly recommend both of these films. They're silly. They're not, it ain't Shin Godzilla. You know what I mean?
It's not Godzilla 1954.
It's not 54. It's not 85. It's not the Return of Godzilla. It's the weirdest shit I've ever seen, but it's very entertaining. I genuinely laughed at many moments on both movies I thought were funny. Yeah. I would not rank these if I had to give these a rating, a star rating, they would not be high.
No.
But they were fun.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed both of them.
I think if you're a fan of that era of sci-fi in the 50s and 60s and stuff, and know kind of what you get with that, I think the original one, the Monster X, the X from Outer Space, I think it fits really well in there. And I think it's one of the better ones of that kind of silly, retro futuristic type look of the late 50s through late 60s. That's good. So if you like that type of stuff, if you like cheesy sci-fi, and kaiju movies, I think it's a watch. I genuinely think it's a charming film. The Monster X Strikes Back, it's one of those, if you like low budget parody films, you like Asylum films, but even more tongue in cheek and better. But I think, and you like making fun of kaiju films and that type of stuff. I think it fits. To me, I put Monster X Strikes Back in the same bucket as I do with Death Kappa, where it's definitely a parody, but it's done well. I think there's good stuff there. Whereas a movie like Raiga versus King Oga or Raiga like God of Monsters, like that to me is bad kaiju parody. So I would definitely put that one in the better camp. I would have to watch that in Death Kappa back to back to see which one I actually like better. But it's a funny movie, but just go in knowing that the second one is trying to be a parody, not serious.
I agree with that assessment. I think something that keeps all of these kind of movies above, maybe if you want to put acting to acting, sure, Asylum films are pretty on par, but there's just so much that comes with an actual person in a suit and an actual, there's some good miniature work in both of these films, and the charm of like the whole gravity thing, the gravity stuff in the first Monster X, and in an Asylum film or something, maybe a little cheaper, you're just looking at flat, CGI models, really and it's like that stuff. The kaiju, the practical stuff in these movies will carry a bad movie for me.
100%.
Like I'll watch it even if it sucks, if it's got cool creatures and effects in it, and both of these movies do.
And like pretty kind of, especially the parody film, like pretty original in the sense that like I don't know many other kaiju films that have attacked political summits, but also like Takemajin versus Guilala, like both of them in their own unique. Obviously, Guilala like had obviously existed for 40 years, but like to have him not fight like another just generic monster or an earth monster, like he fights this kind of like yokai godlike,
like
multi-armed, exactly type thing. Like I thought that was kind of cool and unique, and the fight scene was very like Tokusatsu TV in a good way. Yeah. So I give it that. You're absolutely right. There is that built-in charm that people actually put their physical hands to create these things that then made this movie, whether it's a miniature or a suit, like I think adds to it. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I think that does carry it versus some of the other ones. But I love the designs and and if you get a song stuck in your head for that long, something has to be working right.
It's legitimately a catchy song. I have listened to it multiple times. The X from Outer Space is on HBO. I said that. The second film, Monster X Strikes Back, is not. I had to watch it on archive.org. And I think that's the only way. It has been released on DVD, so it is out there. Like you can get both of these easily if you want to get them on DVD or even VHS, but they're available. Archive.org is free. You just pull it up, watch it. It's on there. And if I say anybody should go watch these, but even if you've listened to this and said, you know what, I don't want to see the butt thing, that's okay. At least maybe look up the creature designs and see what they look like. Look up the toys, because the toys are very these are very great designs for Safubi, and I do want to. They're now on my list. There's a couple that I really love. So yeah, man, this was a good. I was concerned going into these because there's been a couple of these episodes again. No, there's been a couple of these episodes where I was like, what the fuck is this gonna be, man? But I had a fun time.
So in the tag team battle of South Korean films of Yongri and that one other movie, War of the God Monsters, against not a real movie. Against the tag team of the X brothers here, you're going with Monster X's over the Korean films.
100%, and I think there should be more. I think Monster X should go the Godzilla route, and in his next film, which I think 100% should happen, I think he should become a little more of a good guy, and I want to see him in his own series fighting other, bad monsters, because I like him a lot. He's not very. It's weird because he is not menacing looking, but he is menacing, and I want to root for him. He's so cool. I love him.
Yeah, for sure. He destroys stuff. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, unfortunately, he's not a Toho property. Can't get him in the MonsterVerse, but hey, I'm sure that they'll probably sell him off. I mean, if they allowed this movie to get made, I'm sure they'll sell him off. Like, bring him in there. Cares? I mean, everybody's been clamoring for years for Godzilla versus Gamera. No. Godzilla versus Guilala. Yes.
Guilala. Jay, I don't have anything else to say about these two movies. Do you?
I don't. Other than hey, go check them out. I like them. They're fun. And like to Jacob's point, like go buy some of the toys.
For sure. I might buy one tonight. I don't know. I probably shouldn't, honestly. I've been going a little crazy with my toy buying.
I don't know how you find time because, as everybody knows that listens to this podcast, and they should, like, you're on a lot of other stuff, man. I mean,
dude, Jay, literally every day this week. Every day except for Monday. Monday is my only day off. Tuesday night, of course, is Toy Anxiety 9:30 live on YouTube. Wednesday night is this. Thursday, tomorrow, I am recording YHS Prime, and we are interviewing some more Ghostbusters folks tomorrow. Nice. I'm gonna there's 3 people coming on.
That's amazing.
We have the production designer coming on. So yeah, tomorrow will be good, and then Friday we will be doing another Boba's Book Club. I always say it wrong. It's Book of Boba Fett is the show. Boba's Book Club is our show, and then I get the week. And I fucking also recorded for no reason on Sunday. I recorded just a random podcast, just detailing. This is so far away from what we talk about on this show, but I had rewatched the Twilight Zone movie. Have you ever seen that?
I've not. No.
Okay, so I grew up watching that film. I love the Twilight Zone, the show, and I rewatched the movie, and I cannot watch that movie and not be reminded of the awful, awful thing that happened on the set of that movie. So, and I find a lot of people don't know about it. So I recorded a little 30-minute thing. It is on the YHS Prime feed on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can just go listen to me talk about a really awful tragedy that happened on the set of Twilight Zone. So yeah, do that. Also, you can rate podcasts on Spotify now.
Yeah.
So if anybody's listening to this, please do that. Please give all of the shows I just mentioned. Please give us the 5-star or whatever it is. I don't know, but just do it.
Yeah, and hey, you know what? Other than all those great shows, like if you do have a few extra bucks, go check out the YHS Patreon. You guys and Craig and Abby and do a lot of cool stuff. Watch alongs and Zoom hangs and you do your Jacob Walsh versus Stephen King and all this other really, really cool content. A lot of Craig in his car talking about just whatever he's thinking about that day. Like it's really cool stuff. And it is a steal for what you guys charge. I mean, it's a lot of content for a very, 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 very low price. So it's really cool. And then I know you have even higher tiers that do some really cool stuff. I also have to plug, and we haven't done a good job, I think, of plugging this on the show. And I will do it because I know it's weird sometimes to plug your own stuff. But what you and Craig and Abby and the great Tony Taylor of Tony Taylor's Toys has done with this Crypt Creepers line, you guys got a huge drop coming up this week with some
was it today?
Was it today? I don't know. Well,
I think it was.
Maybe. But Star Wars inspired type, really cool, small little minifigs that are, I mean, they're very detailed little vinyl figures. They're really cool. RIP2 and C-3PO. Really cool stuff. And what the toys that you guys are releasing are awesome. I mean, I think that those that like Kaiju Sofubi and like the variants and like the different colorways and really cool, unique monster designs. Yeah. I think there is some connective tissue to what you guys are doing with these ghosts and then some other, obviously getting into other kind of parody type stuff. Like it's really, really cool. And I think there's some similarities there. And I dig it, man. I'm excited. I got some of mine displayed right up above me. I think it's really, really cool. And you guys go to cryptcreeperstoys.com and then follow you guys. I think Instagram, or you at Crypt Creepers Toys?
We're on. Yeah, Instagram. You can find us there. I appreciate all that, Jay. The idea behind Crypt Keepers is kind of if you're familiar, with the old Kenner Real Ghostbusters line, or even the new Ghostbusters Fright Features line, one of the things with the old Ghostbusters is that they always came with a companion ghost. So you would buy a Ghostbuster figure, and it would always have a little ghost in the package, and they were always weird or based on something or like evil versions of something. So basically, the Crypt Keepers idea is that it's new companion ghosts, and some of them are based on Ghostbusters products, things that you haven't seen before. We did like a stack of like a haunted stack of books and stuff like that. But yeah, we're branching out. We did some like Star Wars inspired, which those are my favorite ones. the Star Wars. So
They look awesome. And
those are my favorite.
You got to talk to Tony and Craig and Abby and persuade them to do some Guilala inspired ones.
Dude, I wanna get into it. I want to get into doing some more Safubi-ish type things with Crypt Keepers, but
and you can have a little muscle you could put into Takemajin's butt. You can do that.
I'm building that tonight. Yeah, other than that, the only other thing I want to talk about here real quick before we get out of here is we do have YHS, the second annual Jeffrey Awards are coming up on February the 8th. Now, the Jeffrey Awards, so YHS, we talk about toys a lot, and on Toy Anxiety every week, it's purely a toy show. We all really love toys, and it's not just, of course, Safubi is included, but I'm talking about like vintage toys, Kenner, current, Black Series, Star Wars, everything. So last year we did an award show for toys, basically, because it needs to exist. So that's coming up on February the 8th. It will be just live on YouTube. And there is a Kaiju segment. There is a best toy line, and voting is up right now, but you do have to be a member of YHS Group Therapy on Facebook. You can just go search for that and join it. There is voting. But me and Jay will be presenting best Kaiju toy line of the year.
And there's some good choices out there. And there's some really, really good choices. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at, I believe you had Bandai Movie Monster Series with everything they released this year with Singular Point and some other cool exclusives. You have X Plus got 2 in there, the Daikaiju, the 25 centimeter line, and Defo Reel. You have Mondo and their entry and kind of some of the big stuff they're doing with statues and their Sofubi line and some other cool stuff. And then you have Metacom Vinyl Wars, which had a huge year. So you have some really cool big time lines that are really vying for that initial award from the Jeffries. And then from somebody that wasn't part of the Jeffries last year, it is one of the best nights, the best things done in the toy community. You got to check it out. It's awesome.
It's
huge
fun,
guests. You guys had huge guests last year. It's going to be really cool to see what you do this year.
We did, and we got some guest lineup too as well for this year. So it's going to be fun. Check that out. And we'll be back. We'll be back with this in about 2 weeks.
In about 2 weeks, man. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for checking in. Please go watch all that stuff I just talked about. I know it's a lot, but if I have time to do it, you have time to watch it. So thank you, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Hey, Jake, we're about to exit.